guys, Akil Stokes here. Welcome back to another episode of the Trading Coach Podcast. Thank you as always for taking some time out of your day or out of your commute, your workout, whenever it is you're listening to this podcast. Hang with me for a few minutes and let me share my thoughts and ideas with you. If you guys are brand new to Trading Coach Podcast, is a source where I share my development as not only a trader but a person. I also share the daily tips and conversations that I have with aspiring traders that I'm working with. And today's episode or today's question actually comes from our Trading Coach Podcast group on Facebook. And this is a group that I started really mid-November out of the blue. I just, I get a lot of daily questions about the podcast, usually direct messages or private messages, and they're really good questions, really good topics. And part of me was thinking, why not create a place where we can discuss them, a central place where we can discuss them with each other, meaning the podcast episodes, share those ideas, and just really have a bigger effect that way, right? Wasn't an idea I thought of. I actually stole it from a buddy of mine, Bob Vasile, who's doing kind of this experimental thing for TED Talks called TED Circles. And so far, it's been delightful. And one of the questions that I got today is about the business side of trading. So it's 10 o'clock right now. It's really late per me, right? The kids are asleep, but it is workshop week, meaning we're doing the Bridging the Gap workshop right now. And these are kind of hell weeks for us. We invest our all in these live events. If you've ever been to a workshop, it's an amazing experience, but we go all in for about a week and we're typically burnt out by the end. So I'm already kind of, I did about a 2-hour presentation today on my trading mistakes and reading a price chart. And now I'm up prepping for tomorrow's session where I'm going to take the traders through some live analysis and really practically apply what I taught them yesterday into the live markets tomorrow and hopefully make some profit while I'm at it. That's always good. And I want to stop by the Trading Coach Podcast group and just read through what our traders were saying about the most recent episode called The Business Side of Trading, episode 260. And I got a good question from Steve. He says, Akil, question about the teaching business aspect. First of all, I think you guys are doing all of the right things at Tier 1, preaching all of the right things, leading by example, being transparent, etc. You probably have one of the best trading educational services since becoming a consistently profitable and successful trader is such a rare occurrence overall. I'm sure even with proper education and mentoring, only a small percentage of your students will become successful for a variety of reasons, which you can't control. Does it bother you knowing that most students will be frustrated and disappointed and never reach the promised land? Again, not because you didn't do a good job, rather because that's the nature of this business. Maybe that's a good question for your next podcast. And I think that is an excellent question. And that is something that it used to bother me more in the past than it does now. And that's for a few reasons, right? So in the past, and you see this a lot with coaching in general. I coach track and field as well. So I see this with athletes that come in all the time. When you're a young coach, whether it's track and field, whether it's trading, I think in any aspect of life, you don't really have the perspective and experience of reality, right? You come in with this save the world mentality, like, I'm going to save everyone. Every single athlete I coach is going to live up to their potential. Every single trader I come in contact with is going to be great. And when I first started teaching, that was my mindset, right? I made it. Somehow this guy, right? This guy that switched majors in college, right? Because he was failing 2 economic classes, who somehow made it. If I can make it, anyone can. And I thought that every single trader I came in contact with, especially every single one that I coached personally, would be successful because I didn't really have perspective. And then, of course, as you get older, as you get more experience, you start to see kind of the pros and the cons, right? You get the glory stories of those who made it, right? I've worked with traders who are running hedge funds right now, and it's amazing, right? They're managing, millions of dollars, and it's like, man, this is cool. I played a small part in that. But I've also have a few traders that that didn't make it, and I should say more than a few. There are a lot of traders I guarantee that I've come in contact with that didn't make it. A few I know, right? I still see them on the interwebs struggling, and it does hurt a little bit. Others, they've dropped off the face of the earth, and I don't hear from them. Maybe they're successful, maybe they're not. I don't know, but I would assume, just based on the ratios, kind of what Steve said, that most of them aren't. And as you kind of gain experience going through the ups and downs of coaching people and seeing people, kind of seeing the filter, right? Seeing people succeed and seeing people fall off, you kind of become numb to it. And, you can look at this numbness as being a negative. You don't want to become numb because, the word numb sounds like you don't care. You do care. But it's the harsh reality, right? And I come from a sports background, an athletic background where, most of the people involved in sports don't make it. Sports and trading are very similar because the amount of people that play athletics at, say, like a casual level, and I don't know what's called overseas, but here like a pre-high school level, even a high school level, the amount that make it to high school to college is very small. I'm talking very small percentages. The amount that make it from college to the actual professionals, an even smaller percentage. The amount that make it to the pros and then can remain as pros and have a career, a long-lasting career, even smaller. We're talking, just making these numbers up, maybe 1%. And that's just kind of the reality of the deal. It's only a certain few are going to make it. Now, what's different about trading is in professional sports, there's a set amount of people a roster can hold, right? If you are an NFL team, you can hold 54 people on your roster, something like that, and then some extra practice players. So it's kind of a cutthroat type of deal where when the new population comes in, someone's going to get kicked out. Trading, it's a little bit different, right? It's all up to you. Your performance in the market and your profitability isn't dependent on how someone else does. And that's one of the benefits of being a trader. But the point is, it's still very hard. And we hear the numbers all the time. 90% of traders fail. I would argue that the number is even bigger than that. I would say that, maybe 90% of traders fail. Maybe, you would think 10% of traders make it. Within that 10%, maybe half of that, right? 5% actually make it. 5% are kind of treading water. And then within that 5% of the ones that really make it, maybe even 1% are becoming kind of super traders, super profitable, doing stuff like starting hedge funds, where the other 4% is, you're doing enough to make a supplemental income, but you're not doing anything life-changing, meaning that you're changing your life, right? So there's nothing wrong with supplemental income. Don't get me wrong, right? There's nothing wrong with supplemental income, being able to provide for yourself, being able to grow your investments, right? That is a brilliant thing. I'm just talking the difference between the people you hear out there making like millions of dollars and doing all this crazy stuff versus those who are just like, consistently profitable. So it's a very small percentage. And when you see people let's put it like this. Whether it affects me, whether someone makes it or not, depends on the relationship that we have, right? I am an interesting person, right? I am either I am 100% loyal. Let's put it like this. Either I'm all in or I'm all out when it comes to relationships. There's no kind of middle ground, right? I'm all in or all out, right? I have trust issues, right? So it takes me an extremely long time to trust someone, just in general in life, talking about friends and family, right? It takes an extremely long time for me to trust someone. I'm very paranoid. I'm always thinking of the worst, called a product of my environment. I grew up in Philadelphia, PA, where things weren't always so nice. And you kind of had to have your defenses up to survive that. And I brought that with me to, that's something that's ingrained with me for the rest of my life. So it takes me a very, very long time to trust someone. But once I trust someone, I am all in, right? I am very loyal. I just did a podcast. I don't know if it's going to come out before or after this one, but I did another podcast kind of reflecting on my time with Trade Empowered. It was the previous company in which I provided my services for. And I talked a little bit about, again, the dilemma, the hard decision it was to leave them. And part of me knew it was the right thing to do just for my own sanity and for my own well-being. But another part of me was so loyal that I was willing to go down with the ship no matter what happened on the outside or on the inside. I felt like I owed this loyalty. And that's one of the reasons I stayed longer than I probably should have. But that's always a dilemma for me. So when you get people like that I just meet on the internet, people that send messages and they give me sob stories. The guy the other day sent me a message, hey, I'm down like 30% of my account. What should I do? And I'm like, I gave him some advice and he didn't do it. I just don't care. And I know that sounds bad, but I've you got to understand, I get these I deal with these traders on a daily basis. So I have become numb to the fact that people are blowing accounts left and right. I just don't care. Now, I put it out there. I do everything in my power to lend advice. Here's what I think you should do. Here's what you should stop doing. You guys know that. I answer all messages that I get. But if you decide not to take that advice, then that I'm not going to force it upon you. I'm going to say, okay, do whatever you want. Like, I just don't care. I refuse to waste energy on people that if I'm reaching a hand down to help out and you don't want to reach back and take it, I'm not going to sacrifice my energy and what I have to do in my life to try to pull you up. I gave you the opportunity. Here's the hand. If you take it, I got you. If you don't, then do what you want to do. So I am numb to that. And I know many of those people go on to fail. All the time. Akil, I blew my account doing this dumb stuff and blah, 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 blah. I just don't care about that. Sorry. It doesn't. I've grown numb to it. It doesn't affect me. Sorry. But the people that I personally work with, so the people that I coach, and even people that I don't coach, people that I just know on social media just from years and years and years of talking to, even if they've never been a client. For people like that I have that relationship with, that I'm kind of all in with, it does hurt me when I see them struggle. It does hurt me because, again, for you guys that have never been on the platform, it's not just a teacher or teacher client, teacher student relationship. We get to know each other on different levels. I mean, we had a traders ball last winter out in London, and I was passing around my kid. I had what was he at the time? August, September, October, November, December, a 4-month-old baby, and we're passing him around to the clients I work with like it's family. So it's deeper than just trading. We learn a lot about each other. We're invested in each other. They know about my life. I know what's going on in their life. It's a deeper investment. It really is, in a way. It's a friendship. And when you see those people kind of fall to the wayside or struggle or don't make it, it does kind of hurt. Because imagine like your best friend. But at the same time, understand this. My best friend, right, the best man at my wedding, he's the one that introduced me into Forex trading. Although he's doing good now in a different form of investing, in investments, I should say. He never made it in Forex. And this is the guy who was supposed to be my business partner. We were supposed to rule the world, right? He was a night owl. I'm an early bird. We were going to destroy the markets 24/7. And he never made it. And that hurt me. But you move on. And that's how it goes with every client. It hurts, it stinks. But at the end of the day, if you're confident as a teacher, if you're confident that you've done everything in your ability to help this person, to get them on the right path, then there's no regrets. And on the other side, you could be a student and you could do everything right, and trading just isn't for everyone. I mean, that's just the harsh reality. It's not for everyone. So you can do everything right, and maybe it's just not for you, and that's fine. But I think in this industry, and again, it could be me, you've got to have a mentality where it's next up. You got to be a little bit selfish. So, and again, me personally, I'm just the type of person that very little emotions. I again, for better or for worse, probably one of the things that makes me a good trader. I really have little emotions in general. So stuff doesn't affect me that much. My mentality is always thinking about the next and not the now. So when someone falls off, when someone notifies me that, hey man, I'm not going to be renewing my membership, giving this trading thing up, it stings for a little bit, but understand my mind is already thinking about the next. And the next is not just for me, it's with the clients I'm working for. How can I do a better job? This person fell off. That stinks. How can I do a better job to make sure that the rest of these clients, the rest of these students, the rest of my friends find success? So I don't know if that truly answers the question or not. It is, I guess it's just it's dealing with the harsh reality. It's no different from being a coach and people need to get cut from the team. That's never fun. People don't make the A relay. That's never fun informing them of that. But unfortunately, that's the reality of life. That's the reality of business, right? People fail. And you just have to learn to deal with it. So, I feel like this is kind of a downer of a podcast, but it's a real talk. It's a real talk. So do me a favor, if you guys are listening to this if you're listening to this, make sure you join the Trading Coach podcast group. That would be a perfect place to kind of discuss this, maybe give your views, especially if you're someone that is maybe a business owner in another aspect. How do you deal with hiring and firing employees and stuff like that? That'll give Steve some more insight. But that's my view. So, as always, I appreciate you guys listening to the show. If you haven't done so already, especially on iTunes, leave me a rating and a review. That's the best way you can support the show. And if you guys are brand new, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel, Akil Stokes, and make sure you follow me on social media. Again, there are a lot of social media frauds out there, so make sure you're following the right handle, Akil Stokes RTM. And if I ever reach out to you and ask for money or try to sell you a byproduct or give you a link that doesn't say tier1trading.com, it is not me. Ignore that person right away, and please report them. All right, until next time, plan your trade, trade your plan. Take care.